Everyone always talks about the moment you find your mate like it's a gift. They never mention what it feels like when you've spent an entire year running from yours.
My name is Lyra Vance, bastard daughter, unmarked wolf, and the only person on this continent who knew exactly who was about to walk through those doors tonight. I had spent 12 months in the shadows of every backroad tavern, every servant's quarter, every cold, forgotten corner of this kingdom, making myself invisible, because invisible was the only thing keeping me alive. He had been looking for me. I knew it the way I knew my own heartbeat, through the mate bond that had snapped into place the night of last year's solstice ball. I had felt him across 300 miles and a mountain range. I had felt the moment he realized I existed. And I had run. Because Lord Valerius, the Alpha King of the Obsidian Peaks, the warlord who had burned 3 cities and won 4 wars before his 30th year, was not the kind of man a bastard girl could survive belonging to. My plan tonight was simple. Stay in the shadows. Hold Arabella's cloak. Don't breathe. My sister's voice cut through the glittering crowd like a blade. Keep your head down, rat. When he arrives, you are invisible. You are nothing. You are furniture. She dug her manicured nails into my forearm, the same 4 crescent scars she'd been leaving for years, and glided back into her sea of silk and ambition. 1 hour, I told myself. You just have to survive 1 hour. Then the doors blew open. And every single carefully constructed plan I had collapsed into ash.
The music in the ballroom didn't stop gracefully, it just died. I didn't look. I had trained myself not to look. I pressed my back harder into the cold marble pillar and stared at the floor and breathed. But the bond doesn't care about plans. The moment his scent rolled across the room, wood smoke, ozone, the cold edge of a coming storm, my traitorous body went completely still, like a prey animal that knows, on some primal level, that the predator has just entered its territory. He's here, don't look, don't. I looked. He was already looking back. Across 300 people, over the heads of every powdered lord and desperate noblewoman in the kingdom, the Alpha King's silver eyes were locked directly onto mine. He had found me in under 4 seconds. A year of running. 12 months of empty roads and borrowed names and sleeping in haystacks in 3 different kingdoms. 4 seconds. He moved. The crowd didn't part for him so much as flee from him. He wasn't walking like a king. He was walking like a man who had crossed a desert and just spotted water on the horizon. I turned for the servant's door. Don't. Not a shout. A single low word sent through the bond directly into the center of my chest. My feet stopped before my brain gave them permission. I hated him for that. Running again, little wolf? He was closer now. I could feel the heat of him like a banked furnace. I kept my eyes fixed on the door. I've been running for a year, I said under my breath, low enough that only the bond could carry it back to him. I'm quite good at it. Not good enough. Then a third voice, sharp and silver and absolutely furious, cut between us. Your Majesty. Not my father, not Arabella. Lady Seraphine Duskwood, first daughter of the High Northern Court. Black hair, diamond collar, a smile that could cut glass. She stepped directly into Valerius's path with the practiced ease of a woman who had spent her entire life being the most important person in any room. "We have been expecting you," she said, her voice like warm honey poured over a blade. "Your seat at the high table has been prepared, if you'll follow me." She reached out and placed one elegant hand on his armored forearm. The Alpha King stopped walking. He looked down at her hand. The temperature in the ballroom dropped 10 degrees. "Remove your hand," Valeria said, very quietly, "before I remove it for you." Lady Seraphine smiled in the waver, but her hand disappeared. He didn't spare her another glance. He turned back toward me. And I realized with a cold spike of something that wasn't quite fear and wasn't quite hope, that he had walked through the most powerful woman in the northern court, like she was made of smoke. For me, a girl in a threadbare dress, holding someone else's velvet cloak.
He stopped in front of me. Up close, the bond was almost unbearable. A live wire pulled tight between my sternum and his, vibrating at a frequency that made my back teeth ache. I forced myself to meet his eyes. A mistake. His silver gaze was completely undone. The careful, terrifying control of a warlord king stripped all the way back to something raw and exhausted and young. He had been searching for a very long time, too. "You knew," he said. It wasn't an accusation. It was almost a question. "Last year, you felt it, and you ran." I lifted my chin. "Yes." Something crossed his face that I hadn't expected. It wasn't anger. It was hurt. "Why?" I almost laughed. "Look at me." I gestured to the faded dress, the mended hem, the 4 small scars on my forearm. "And then look at yourself and ask me that question again." He was still staring at me when my father's voice exploded across the ballroom. "Your Majesty, forgive this. This girl is nobody. She is a mistake. Crack. Valerius didn't look at my father. He didn't draw his sword. He simply reached out, caught my father's outstretched wrist mid-lunge, and twisted. The sound echoed like a gunshot. My father hit the floor, screaming. My sister's cry of outrage cut off into a strangled silence as Valerius turned the full weight of his silver gaze to the room. "She is my fated mate," he said, voice low and absolute. "She is the queen of the Obsidian Peaks. The next person who speaks her name without a title will not speak again." Then he looked back at me. The room, my screaming father, my trembling sister, none of it existed. "I am not asking you to trust me," he said quietly. "I know I haven't earned it. I'm asking you to let me try." He unclasped his heavy fur mantle and settled it over my shoulders without asking. It smelled like wood smoke and winter. It smelled like the bond. I stood in the center of the ballroom, buried in the cloak of a king, and looked at the woman kneeling on the floor in the ruins of her crimson gown. Arabella looked up at me. For the first time in my life, she looked afraid. I didn't feel the triumph I had always imagined I would. I just felt tired. Valerius offered me his arm. I looked at it for a long moment. This arm that had just shattered my father's bones, as casually as snapping a twig. This arm attached to a man I had been running from for a year. This arm that, according to ancient magic and blood law, and the entire universe apparently belonged to me. I took it. We walked out through the center of the ballroom. 300 nobles bowed so low, their foreheads nearly touched the floor. The cold winter air hit my face when the doors opened. Valerius stopped beside his black carriage. He turned to face me.
The violence was gone. What was left was just a man, standing in the dark, waiting. "I have one condition." He waited. "I walk beside you, not behind you, not a step behind, beside." A silence. Then something shifted in his silver eyes. Something that looked dangerously like relief. "Beside," he agreed. I looked up at the terrifying king, the warlord who had just detonated my entire world. And I made the first real choice I had ever made in my life. "Then take me home," I said. He didn't kiss me. He just took my hand and helped me into the carriage, like I was made of something worth protecting. The door closed. The horses moved. And somewhere in that ballroom, I had left every version of myself I had ever been forced to be. She ran for a year. He searched for a year. And neither of them was ready for what came next. If you want to know what happens when she finally stops running, subscribe. The next chapter is already written. I'll see you in the shadows.